Hi, and welcome back. Thank you so much, Alanna and Elliot, for joining me today here on An Issue with Cody. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Good. It's Friday.
It's
It's
Friday
Friday.
for us.
It's the
Yes.
weekend.
Yep.
I'm so grateful, Alanna, that you and your husband agreed to meet with me. I met with Alanna probably about, what would you say, 2 or 3 months ago at this point on
Yeah,
your
it's been a little
podcast.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a minute. She has a podcast called Endo Battery. It's phenomenal. She interviews so many incredible doctors and they discuss endometriosis. And I've binged her stuff. It's really good. I highly recommend it.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah, I really enjoy it. I wanted to discuss today about the identity shift that has happened in both of your lives in like the role of being the individual with a chronic illness and the caregiver. And I just wanted to take a moment at first to have you guys each tell me a bit about yourself as well as your story of how you met. So Alanna, I'm going to give you the floor first and then we'll pass it off to Elliot.
Yeah. I am, the one that's the illness in this. And so
The illness.
and the illness in this. But through that, I have a podcast, Endo Battery, where I touch on things like endometriosis, chronic pelvic pain, and other conditions that kind of relate to that as well, which are things that I often deal with. So things like hypermobility, MCAS, POT, amongst musculoskeletal issues, and then ways that we as people with endometriosis and chronic illness can recharge our batteries. So the tagline, charging our lives when endo drains us. And that's kind of one of those things that I've lived my entire life. And I felt there was such a lack of tools and resources, especially when I got diagnosed.
Yeah.
So I started the podcast a long time ago, and that led into me also working and starting a nonprofit, which is an endometriosis chronic pelvic pain nonprofit that I have with 4 other gals. And it provides, it's called Endo Village. And because everything is endo in my world.
End of this, end of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to make the end of it because sometimes that's a new
That's a new one. That's your next phase. End of
Yeah, exactly.
endometriosis.
That's right. But so we do in-person support gatherings as well as community advocacy awareness and education. And my journey with this started a really long time ago with a lot of pain. So like a lot of pelvic pain, but mostly period pain, migraines,
Yeah.
bloody noses, and then I also had a significant amount of kidney pain, which I didn't realize at the time. But every time, well, I realized the pain, but I didn't realize what was happening.
Sure.
Pain was all there.
You're like, I don't know what that is. I'm just kidding.
I'm just in excruciating pain. So every time I would be on my cycle, like I'd pass a kidney stone and just be
Oh,
in a lot of pain in general, but like the brain fog, the fatigue, all of that. So I have, of course, endometriosis. I had adenomyosis and have had a hysterectomy as well as an oophorectomy, which means that I've had my ovaries removed.
wow.
Hysterectomy and oophorectomy are two different things, just to put that out there. But I've had both. And then multiple surgeries for endometriosis. And then I've also had 2 C-sections. We have 2 beautiful girls, which are just gifts because I didn't think I would ever be able to have kids. And that was something that I had to prepare myself for
Yeah.
after my diagnosis. And so I have endometriosis and then also MCAS, hypermobile EDS or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome,
Uh-huh.
POTS, and then a slew of other issues that kind of come with that, potential May
Sure.
Thurner, potential blah, 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 blah. So there's I mean, the list really goes on for me, but I'm a little onion is what we say because there's like one layer uncovered begets another layer sometimes, and can be a little frustrating. So, and
Yeah.
then I met my wonderful husband in 2008.
8.
Yes.
2008.
And he gets to carry a lot of the weight. So I'll let him tell that side of it, what he
Yeah.
does.
Share with us. Share with me a little bit about yourself, Elliot. I would love to hear it.
Where do we start? At the beginning?
At the beginning. Day were you born? I'm
Not
just
not at
kidding.
the beginning. Let's keep it.
Yeah, so Alana and I met in 2008, and where do we start? I guess
He's
we
a geological engineer. I think
I'm a geologist / geological engineer.
Oh, wow.
I
That's cool.
work in groundwater cleanup stuff. And Alana has had to deal from day one with my irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh, there you go.
So she
There
has to
seems
be
like there's a story behind that
she
from
has to
day
be a
one.
caretaker too.
Oh, dear.
Oh, it is day one.
Oh.
No, we met on a mission trip, which is funny. Like, I think both
That's
of
not
us.
true. We didn't meet on a mission trip.
Well, I don't remember meeting you before. You remember me, but I didn't remember you.
Oh,
But that's because you
okay. So
didn't
there's
talk. No, wait, no, we didn't actually meet before. You saw me and didn't talk to me. That's the story.
Well, the
That's
truth
why I didn't remember
is
you.
that, yeah, no, the truth is that we were at a young adults murder mystery dinner.
Okay.
And they gave you like these roles you have to play. And they
Sure.
tell you who you have to talk to try to like play the part, right? And I am a very social person, not at all shy, but it was him and his Stetson, and I could not go talk to him. I don't know what it was. I saw him from afar,
Took
and
your breath
it
away.
wasn't, I don't know what it was. I just didn't want to go talk to him. And so I didn't, but I knew who he was.
Which is funny because
See,
I'm
You clocked
not
in. You're
nearly
like,
as
he's handsome, but from
Right.
over there.
It was the Stetson, though. It was like it was like this Western theme
Mm,
murder mystery dinner.
sure.
And I am a
Hat just
cowgirl
did
at
it.
heart. Like, I am a country girl. Like, I grew up in Wyoming. Like, let's paint that picture, right? This
Sure.
tall, dark, handsome Stetson man walks in. Come on now.
But
Can you blame a girl?
I tricked you because I'm from the suburbs.
So I'm going to dust off my Stetson.
I keep
From
it in
the
a
one
box.
rodeo I went to one time.
I keep it in a
It was
box so it
still a
doesn't get
box.
dusty.
So there you go. Look at you taking care of your Stetson. They're expensive. Makes
They are.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were about to say something a minute ago, Elliot. Sorry to cut you off.
So that neither one of us, I think we both were resistant to the idea of like being a mission trip couple.
Sure.
So it was it was funny that we ended up together, and everybody was calling it on the trip too, and I didn't want to admit it. I was like, no, I'm not going to be one of those mission trip couple people. And then a week
Not
later we were
my
dating.
story. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Fate had another plan. That's so funny. So with your
Mhm.
mission trip, I mean, I'm guessing, do you guys spend like every day together and that's how you guys got to know each other?
Yeah, pretty much. We spent a lot
Yeah.
of time together, and it was a lot. It was like round the clock.
Oh, so it's
We
just
barely
like
slept.
all. Oh gosh.
It
Okay.
was a really intense mission trip. So it was in South Pottery Island. It was called Beach Reach. And we would go give van rides to spring breakers and free breakfast to spring breakers. And it's a very intense situation where you're really surrounded by a lot of danger and a lot of
Yeah.
things that are, I mean, if you've not really been exposed to that before, would be really, really shocking and terrifying at times because it's in South Pottery, Texas, where, the border's right there. And so there's a lot that happens and you see a lot of things. And I think you can tell a lot about a person when they have a lack of sleep, a lack of food that's like super nutritious. And then there was a sense of intimacy within the group because you had to count on each other so much
Right.
to get through the week because it's like emotionally, physically, spiritually exhausting. And so that being said, like we met on that trip. So
So you guys like saw each other in like a really intense
Yep.
phase of what you were trying to develop, like within yourselves. I mean, like that's actually really neat to see each other at this really intense and apparently IBS phase of life where
It never goes away.
It never goes that. It wasn't a phase. It was, but apparently a day with quite a day to like just be. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know. I just feel like that's a really unique way to like actually see somebody and then be like, I want to spend more time with you. I think that just speaks a lot about your character.
Like part of that too was that he's such a protector. And in that environment where you don't let anyone go by themselves anywhere because
Yeah.
you see things and you experience things that no one should. You think these kids are just having a good time. It's not all fun and games there. And
Yeah.
so he was very much from the get-go a big protector. And I think that was honestly probably a precursor to what would happen later on. And you can see the character of someone and the way they respond in those very dire situations, in those situations that are uncomfortable, those situations where you're honestly at your worst a lot of times, and how they
Yeah.
respond to that and to you in those situations. And I think one of the things for us, and Elliot can speak to this if he wants, but one of the things for us is like we always had this ability to laugh and have humor. even when we were exhausted, even when we didn't always agree necessarily. Because there would be times that I was like, we're fine, you can leave. And because the door to the room that I was staying in did not lock.
Ooh.
And we didn't have air conditioning in Texas.
Oh. Oh gosh.
And so he like stayed up one night. We were exhausted. He stayed and sat outside of our door one night. And like that just says a lot about who he is and his
Yes.
character. And that hasn't changed at all. It wasn't like fooled ya, now that we got the ring. It's not, it's always been that way. So
That's
he's
amazing
always been a
though.
protector and a provider.
Well, and in that situation, like you are going to see people like kind of, it strips back all of the pretense and just like, who are you to your core? And so I'm curious with that, because you said, of course, that this trait that Elliot has, of course, of being a protector has been just something that's carried you through your relationship. Of course, with chronic illness, I'm sure that that's been just such a rock to lean on. With that, though, I am curious, like, obviously, Elliot was symptomatic from day one, but were you symptomatic? I'm sorry, I keep teasing you, Elliot.
We joke a lot about it.
Okay, good. Good. I am curious though, were you symptomatic, Alanna, from day one? Like when you guys met, all the things that you listed, was this something you were currently struggling with? Or did that show up stronger later in your marriage? How did that go?
I'll jump in and say, I would say in hindsight, yeah, she was symptomatic from like day one. We just didn't know what it was.
Just didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was pretty intense, even like in your dating time together, you would have these pains and these.
Yeah, but I didn't think they were anything abnormal because for so many people with endometriosis, you normalize the pain, or it has been generationally normalized because, people say all the time, painful periods is just part of being a woman.
Yeah.
And, you're just tired and you're just lazy. I heard that all the time growing up. And so for me, I had extreme brain fog and fatigue. And so for me, I just felt like it was like my normal. I mean, it was significant pain. Yes, it increased in pain in our marriage, but it definitely was one of those things where I don't think I put much weight on it because it was just my normal. And looking back at it, it definitely was not normal. But I don't, and I guess Elliot and I haven't really talked a lot about prior to us being married, what that was like for him because his IBS took the lead role, So like.
Sure. Sure. So both of you had these symptoms. I mean, you guys kind of both just saw each other though and gave like compassion towards that, or how did that like develop in your relationship, like talking about marriage and just having these things? What were your thoughts on that going into your marriage?
I'm not sure I've experienced compassion for my IBS.
Okay. My husband could relate to you, I'll be honest. Like, get out of the bathroom. Okay, so I don't know how to reword this question now, but
no.
You guys said yes to marriage, so tell me about that.
Well, I don't know if like we really thought about it too much because
okay, fair.
I think we didn't know any different. To be fair, I was the girl that would like go to bed in the same clothes and wake up in the same clothes because I was so tired all the time.
Jeez,
and
yeah.
that was like, I'm sure Elliot was like, this is what I'm getting, but I didn't really like put a lot of weight on that. I don't know if he noticed anything abnormal from anyone else. I'm not sure that was ever, or if it was just who I thought that's just who she is. So I don't think that shifted in our marriage or we thought much about it because again, I didn't have a diagnosis to that point. So
Sure.
It was just my normal.
Elliot, like, I'm curious, like, your thoughts. What was that going into it? Did you notice that these symptoms were prevalent, or were you just kind of like, well, that's Alanna?
I think it was normalized, right? Like at that point, like she was a sleeper, right? Like your family joked about it. You would sleep in really late. Sometime, it'd be like you could just sleep until someone woke you up. I guess I never really thought about it as like a potential symptom of something, right? Like it was just
what she did.
Yeah, it was just part of life.
Just part of what it was. Yeah. So you guys got married then in 2009, right? The next year. Okay. So from there, when did you realize, I guess with both of your conditions, because Elliot, I didn't know that you also had a chronic condition, but
it's not officially diagnosed.
Not officially diagnosed. I couldn't completely.
Alanna diagnosed you. That's what that was.
No, that was so self-diagnosed on that one.
I come from a long line of IBSers. We're all
there's actually
self-diagnosed.
a story, not to expose my husband. He's not even here to defend himself, poor guy, but we were dating. And he would eat ice cream and be in the bathroom for quite a while. And when he came out one time, so a few months into our relationship, I was like, has anybody told you you have lactose intolerance? And he's like, I don't have lactose intolerance. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure, because every time you eat ice cream or cheese, like you're in the bathroom a long time. He's like, well, my whole family does that. I was like, then I think your whole family is lactose intolerant. Like, I don't know if you knew this. Nobody knew that they had an issue because it was just normal. Like what you guys have said, when it's all you know, why is it wrong, until it just you start to kind of look at your life compared to other lives and you're like, hold up, this is not the experience that everybody's getting. I'm receiving less in this experience. So
I think that's like marriage just in general. I remember like the first year we were married, I'm like, this is a journey of self-discovery. Because it's like there was so much that was normalized, like not completely outside of any health issues, right? Just like life things in general. There's so much that is just normal to you through your family or through your life that that you don't even think about at all until you're married and realize that not everybody does things that way, or not everybody thinks about things the same way. So I think that was like, yeah, our whole first year, I think I kept saying it was self-discovery, because I was like, I didn't realize that
I didn't know this about me.
Not everyone has 5 favorite birds. Like I remember asking Alana, what are your top 5 favorite birds? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have top 5 favorite birds?
Alana, how did you not know that? Turkeys, pigeons. I don't know if I could list 5 birds. Chickens, peacocks.
Yeah. No, not a favorite. That's my worst trauma.
Oh, really? Did you get it? Oh, okay. Well, I'll ask you about peacocks later. I should probably stick to the subject here. I am curious. When did you first realize in your relationship then that things were fundamentally different, or was there like a big shift and change where you're like, oh, we have to change the way we're doing our life in order to accommodate?
Well, that really kind of happened. So how this kind of transpired was Elliot, in our first year of marriage, he traveled quite a bit for work.
Okay.
He was in the field quite a bit. And so, to me that I was fine because, I'd lived by myself for quite some time already. So, but he was gone one time and I ended up having a miscarriage, which I didn't know was happening. It was just kind of it was a chemical miscarriage pretty much at that point. And so I didn't really put too much weight on that because I was on birth control, which was really weird. Like if I look back, it was just kind of a weird situation and it wasn't consistent because we'd been sick and all of this other stuff. Anyway, it was around our first year of marriage. It was around our anniversary. And we were supposed to go on a trip, but he happened to be out of town right before that. And I came home from work in so much pain, vomiting everywhere and everything. I ended up having a 9mm kidney stone. And when I went into the ER, I called his sister. I was like, I have to go to the emergency room. And I was in so much pain. So his sister came, took me to the emergency room. He flew home from where he was in the field, literally probably the fastest he's ever driven in his life. Like he is not a fast driver, but he was booking it. I was in the ER and to put things in perspective, like I went into the ER, knew I had a kidney stone because I'd had them so frequently, but this was way worse than any other kidney stone I'd ever experienced. And so I went and they did an x-ray. First of all, they didn't want to give me pain meds. They wanted to give me muscle relaxer to see if it would pass. This ER doc was he was horrendous. Like it was the worst thing. Got hematomas everywhere from doing IVs and all this stuff. Super dismissive and just like, it was just not a great experience in general.
Yeah.
So he ended up doing an x-ray and found a large cyst on my ovary. He's like, well, I'm going to have you do a vaginal ultrasound. So we're going to get into the womanhood. So if this is TMI for people, I'm so sorry. That's how I roll. But they did a vaginal ultrasound.
All part of the body.
It's all part of the body. It's all part of the story. But like, I was in so much pain. And at this point, Elliot had gotten there for the ultrasound. And when they did the x-ray, they said, we got to figure out what this is. We don't know if this is cancer or not. Mind you, prior to this, I had another potential cancer diagnosis when I was 18 because I was in so much pain. And I guess I didn't really relate that to endometriosis. I related that to my kidney disease or like my kidney stones, but it's all tying in together now that I look back at it. Like it all plays a role in this. So they did the ultrasound and he was like, I mean, I'm in so much pain that I am like almost passing out. I'm throwing up all the time. They still barely just gave me medication for pain. And so they did the ultrasound and they're like, oh, it's probably just a cyst on your ovaries. Check with your OBGYN and then you should be good to go. And they sent me home with this kidney stone. The next day I came back and to a new ER doc. And that was the first time that I had seen Elliot in a caretaker role because to this point, he hasn't really had to play that role. I've kind of been able to manage or make my way through a lot of this. He knew about my kidney stuff. He knew I had kidney stones. That was nothing that was new. Like we talked about that. And we had talked about previous to that, kind of what I had gone through when I graduated high school with the kidney pain and everything else. But at this point, this is when that shift happened into caretaker kind of and support person, because he was the one not only advocating for me in the hospital, but also at home. He tracked my pain medication times so that I would get it on time before the pain really started kicking in. And so finally we got to the point where he's like, we've got to go back to the hospital. He's like, this isn't going to get any better. He got so mad because I was just like, just give me some gum. And that was actually after I got my kidney
Yeah, that
stone
was with the stent
removed and they put the stents in. And that was our first year anniversary, was him being my caretaker for the first time with this. And so after that, we went to the OBGYN. She goes, I'm like 99% sure it's just endometriosis. And I was like, excuse me, what's endometriosis? And she made it sound very rare in that this is just a condition. And by the way, she told me the wrong definition because that's the best she knew. It wasn't that she was trying to be malicious. That's what she knew it to be. And now we know it's different. She was like, well, it's cells of the uterus outside of the uterus that just, create problems and inflammation, or not even inflammation, but like, I don't even remember what she said to that effect. And that's kind of where that shifted and changed. And it changed our conversation. But what happened, I mean, after the diagnosis, it was like we went high and low trying to find information. And mind you, this is like 2009, 2010. There wasn't a lot of information on the interwebs for this because most people weren't talking about it, right?
No.
And so, and what was out there, we now know is like wrong. And so we kind of tried to go down this rabbit hole, and he was advocating for me in the way that he was researching this disease and what it really meant. And I honestly, it was a very low point for me personally because I brought something into this marriage that I didn't realize I was bringing. And so it was like this thing that never was on our radar. I'd never heard of it before. And I felt almost defective, if that makes sense.
When you think of that identity shift, is that kind of what it really shifted into, was just like, I am broken?
Yeah. Yeah. And to be fair, like I've blacked out a lot of that time emotionally. I think that was my way of kind of coping with the guilt of it. And I'm going to say this, like I don't feel like anyone should feel guilty over a diagnosis because it's not your fault. You would never choose this in a million years, but for some reason our automatic response is to feel guilty about what we've done to this other person or what we can't do for this other person, right? And so I think I went through a lot of that. And then it traced back to that miscarriage. And is my body defective? That's when we started really having conversations about, we wanted a family. We wanted to grow a family, but was it going to be possible? And I remember us really having a sit down and talking about, okay, if we can't have kids, I mean, it was a serious conversation. And we started looking at adoption agencies, and at least I did, looking at all the possibilities, what it would look like if I can't have kids, because what I was told was you may be able to get pregnant, but you may not be able to carry a baby. You're probably likely to miscarry.
Gotcha.
And so there was just a lot that went into that. So then that led to my first ablation surgery for endometriosis, which is where they just like burn the lesions, the powder burn lesions. And that then led to him becoming a caretaker again. And then then we tried the Lupron for a while, and that led to a lot of issues. And then we ended up getting pregnant quite some time after because we weren't wanting to have kids right away.
Yeah, that was after the second ablation.
I didn't even know you could get pregnant after an ablation, I'll be honest.
So with the ablation, all they're doing is they're taking cautery to the lesions, so the first one, she took the endometrioma, she drained the endometrioma. I'm not sure she took the whole cyst wall out. Again, this is a general GYN who was doing her absolute best with what she knew, but just really wasn't a specialist in this area. And if you think of endometriosis, it's very much like a cancer in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah, I've heard that
so,
comparison in that way. Yeah.
yeah, it's its own ecosystem. It can grow without having any hormones. It can grow with, it grows everywhere in the body. And so the second surgery I went into it as and the reason I went in for my second surgery was because I flipped over one night in bed and I thought I was dying. I literally got up. I laid by the toilet the entire night so that I didn't wake Elliot up. I literally thought I was dying. Pale as pale could be. I was in extreme pain, throwing up again because that's my release of pain apparently.
Sure.
And so he woke up. He's like, why did you not wake me up? And I was like, because I don't know what it was. Like, I so much.
I wanted to die alone.
I fell by the toilet.
He's
With
trying
my
to protect
dignity
you
intact.
again. I just see this theme for you, Elliot. You do step in as this protector role.
Yeah.
Alana's just like, I'm gonna die by myself. I don't understand what my emotions are.
Yeah, it was just like, and then he's like, no, we're going to the hospital, and we
Yeah.
called the doctor, and they did an ultrasound, and sure enough, I had another cyst on my ovaries that we don't know why it got so painful at that moment, but then I had another. It was supposed to be a laparoscopic ablation surgery again. It ended up being a laparotomy, so the full C-section incision, and that
Oh.
really was like beyond what Elliot had already done. That was a almost 3 month recovery for me, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw his character in that. I remember just feeling an immense amount of guilt, and I don't want to say shame. And I don't think it was shame, but I definitely felt this immense amount of guilt and like, why did he marry me? You didn't expect this. You didn't sign up for this. And I was already going through that. Well, I may not be able to have kids. I'm defect, and now you have to take care of me and I can't do anything for you. And I can't, like it was kind of that self-pity thing too, where I kind of sat in that for a little while and felt really bad. But I also was like, you deserve better than this,
It's a legitimate phase that a lot of people in your position go through because, especially being so young, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody expects to age. Everybody expects to be kind of not doing their best when they're in their 80s. But
Right.
when you're in your new part of your marriage and you, I'm sure, talked about having a family and having these goals career-wise, and suddenly everything shifts, then what is your identity and what is your partnership? And that can be really startling. Because then will your partner stay with you, or how will they support you, or will it one day make them crack? I'm curious to hear your perspective on, Elliot, would you agree that that was kind of when the shift happened as well, when you realized that fundamentally things were going to need to change in your relationship, or what was that moment like for you?
It was interesting because it kind of went in stages, right? Like I think the first experience was really with the kidney stone, and then that actually the kidney stone experience, and then the stent, like the experience with the doctor, the ER doctor, and then the insane pain with having a stent in her ureter probably was I want to say a good place. It's not a good place to start, but at least it like started really intense. So that experiences after that were, I would say, like the intensity level was spread out. They flattened the curve.
Sure.
Back
In
COVID
ways
terms.
manageable intensity, like because there's like an intensity where you're like, I have no idea how to handle this, and then there's an intensity where you're like, I can manage this. This is
I think that as time has gone on, like for surgery recoveries and stuff, like the excision recovery, that was like a breeze. Like I don't want to say it was, but I think it went better for you than any of the other surgeries for sure. And a big part of that was the preparedness of the doctor and the follow-up, right? And the nurses in the hospital keeping meds regulated before you went home. That was a big part of it. But I think I learned a lot with the kidney stone and then the first ablation surgery. By the time we got to the second ablation surgery, I knew more than I ever thought I'd know about pain meds and how to manage them. And I guess that I never really thought about, like, it never occurred to me that this isn't what I expected. I don't know. Like I guess I've never had that thought.
It just never came to you. Just
It's
kind of
just,
like, this is what I'm going to do now.
Yeah,
It
is what it is, and we're going to deal with the situation that comes at us. And I think there's been some like frustrating moments, right? And I think that my frustration has stemmed from not being able to help. Those moments of like I can't do anything.
Helplessness.
And even the simple things don't work out. And that's, Alanna mentioned the gum earlier. That was during the the very first kidney stone, our very first like hospital experience together. So when they finally called the urologist, the on-call urologist, he was like, 9 millimeter stone. Why didn't you call me yesterday? Like, what are you guys talking about?
Oh my gosh.
And
that ER sucks. I'm just going to say, I
yeah,
don't know who they are, but
it was
boo on them.
It was not a good experience. Second ER doc, he immediately called the urologist. So it was really just that first doctor.
He was too busy flirting with the nurses,
Yeah.
legitimately, like at the nurse. I
Ew.
was sitting there and I was like watching him flirt with the nurses and like give me no time of day.
I hope he lost his license. I hate to say that about some, but some maybe shouldn't be
Yep.
their doctor. Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, so after the procedure, they have to install a stent in the ureter because otherwise it collapses because it's been like it's been held open, stretched out so much that the muscles contract too much. So they have to put this little stent in there. But as the muscles are contracting around the stent, it's like it's like pain level 11. You know, it's like breaking a femur. I haven't experienced it. I feel, as I tell Alanna, like I have been incredibly constipated. I know this pain is like. I know what it's like to have a baby.
Pain when you're talking about yes.
But in that experience, she couldn't keep pain meds down. She was throwing them up, and the Vicodin just wasn't settling well with her. Like by the time we got to like the third surgery, I was like telling the doctors, "These are the 3 pain meds you cannot give her. This is the one that we need." Like,
you're a strong advocate. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, because like I don't call it Vicodin anymore, right? That's the old name. I don't know, whatever it is. Like she would take it, and within like 30 seconds, it was like coming back up. And so this is after her throwing up for the 3rd time the one night. She's just like, "Can I just have some gum?" And I'm like, "I can do that. I can provide gum." And I ran upstairs and found this pack of nice minty gum. It was like a dentine, I think. And I could not get the wrapper undone. The little cellophane wouldn't come undone. I was getting so like it was at that moment of like, I can't even get her some gum. And I got so mad, I tore the entire pack in half and gum flew all over the place. Our black lab was running around like crazy trying to pick it up.
These are my gums.
And I was just
Leave
like,
them alone.
I think I yelled too. I was like, "Ah," when I did it. And Alanna didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, I wasn't frustrated with the situation with her. I was frustrated that I couldn't do anything about it. Even the simple thing, I couldn't even get her a piece of gum.
I mean, I know that nobody says helplessness is an identity, but I feel like as a caregiver, somebody, giving care to like somebody you love, helplessness is just it's got to be such a deep, real emotion for anybody in that role. Because what do? There's so much pain and you can't fix it and the doctors can't fix it. There's no solutions. There's no avenue forward. You're trying to survive the moment. But like, how has that like affected you now that you guys have been married for whatever the number of years that is? I can't do math that fast. 17 years. Has that helplessness still been there? Do you still feel that at times? Or like, can you manage it better? Or how has that shifted?
We figured out how to manage it for sure. I would say just education wise, like it doesn't feel, I don't know about for you, Alanna. Like, I know you've had moments of you feel helpless because you fix one thing and one more thing to fix, and you like work to fix something else, and there's one more thing to fix. But I would say the silver lining is with the education that you've had, like you've given yourself, it does feel now like there's light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't feel that way, but
depends on the day.
It depends on, well, and I don't necessarily mean like more like you've had small successes, right? You have found ways to manage certain elements, and like you can't get everything, but at least you found ways to manage like certain symptoms and certain elements of this, that it's not completely hopeless. I would say that maybe part of that is, unfortunately normalized, right? Like hate to say that, but I think there is a little bit an element of like the hopelessness being not uncommon. So it doesn't
feel as overwhelming? Maybe as much as maybe it did at first.
Well, I think part of that too, like, I think we've learned how to communicate that better. I think at first it was more that helplessness. I think in his nature, he is a fixer. And I think a lot of guys are that way. And when you see your loved one and someone that is your very best friend go through something, you want to fix it. You want to take that load. And sometimes taking that load looks different as opposed to fixing it. Maybe it's just sitting in space with them, right? And so I think part of that we've learned, okay, you don't need to fix it. because that's not your role right now, but your role is to listen and to give perspective if I ask for it. And there
Right.
have been times where I've been like, I just need to get this out. I just need to vent. I just need to like process this with you. I don't
Yeah.
need you to fix it. I don't need your input. I just need you to listen and feel and sympathize with me for a second. And there have been times where I'm like, can you please just show an emotion with me? And there, that's all I
Cry
want.
with me, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think because we've had years of figuring this out together, we've learned kind of how to communicate our needs in that way. I think I probably struggle more with still the guilt. And he's really good about saying, but without you doing these things, we don't get as much as we can of you as a family. I think there's this guilt that I'm taking away from my family
Yeah.
because if I'm not feeling good or I can't do something or financially, that's a huge part of it for me is I do spend a lot of money on my health because if I don't, the repercussions of that are significant. And so I think that the guilt for me is there and he's really good at being like, but if you don't, then we don't get the best part of you. And if we don't, and so it's worth it to him.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need to, and he's really good about this, about, telling me that I'm worth it to him and I'm worth
Yeah.
it to our family to invest in my overall quality of life. And I think there's still going to be that guilt, I think, is as much as I try not to have it there. I still think of that often. Like we could take so many vacations without having to spend all this money, or we could, do this or that or whatever. And I think now also because of the education that I have and the things that I've really learned and the support team surrounding me, he doesn't have to carry the load quite as much. And I mean, in
That's a
the
good
beginning
point.
days, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, because in the
Yeah.
beginning days, he literally went to every doctor's appointment with me.
Right.
And like he was my voice. He was my reason. He was the thing that would bring up the things to the doctor that I would forget because he's seeing me in a totally different light because I was in survival mode all the time. And so
Right.
he was able to speak up and be like, actually, she's a lot like this during this time of the month, or she's a lot, she really struggles with this or whatever. Not that he was talking over me, he was advocating for me to
Right.
bring light to something that I was completely blind to. So I think that's shifted and changed quite a bit.
I would say that's a good point, though, that having friends with a similar experience, I think you have a chance to, like, you don't have to vent to just me, right? Like, you can vent to somebody who knows, I can smile,
Yeah.
not smile and nod, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I can sit there and listen
That
to
sounds
you.
great. Yeah.
I can sit there and listen to you, but like, I've walked with you through these experiences, but I haven't experienced them myself. So I think that having that group of other women that are walking a similar path and have experienced these things, I think that does, I hadn't really thought about it before, but it does really take quite a load off of me from just the venting perspective, right? Like,
Yeah.
like you still vent sometimes to me, and that's perfectly fine. You can certainly do that, but I do think that I've had to like listen to venting less in the last couple of years since Endo Village has been around. We're able
You also
to
have to deal with more shenanigans. So then you got to weigh out the pros and cons here.
You know what? Those shenanigans are kind of fun. After everything you've been through, shenanigan your life
Right.
away,
Yeah.
woman. That's totally appropriate.
Bail money is well worth it if he doesn't have
Put some aside for my doctor's appointments and some aside for the bail money. I think you guys have locked into something really cool there. I feel like I learned something right there with like helping my own spouse with that emotion of helplessness. My effort in building a community that gets it can take less or take more off of his shoulders. Give him less. Wow, I'm speaking in so many words and they're all not going in the right direction. But just like, I feel like what you guys have discovered in your relationship, and maybe in a very organic way, but a really essential way for even other couples, is to find your community, belong to it, share there. And it will take the pressure off of just all the eggs being in one basket. I don't think it removes from your relationship. I think it adds, because now you get to share parts of your day and your life that you guys can just enjoy more together. Not that, it's just where you get to share a portion that just feels like there's breath and there's life there, instead of just it always having a weight to it and I have to fix it and I've got to solve this. And now you are expanding that circle to have other people help you solve and fix and feel and vent. I don't know. I think think that's genius. I feel like I
Yeah,
learned something today. I need to do that.
because yeah, I think that it's as close as I am to the experience. I haven't felt the same feelings, right? Like,
Right.
so I think that, I don't know, Alana tells me something like you've told me before. I'll like be venting about frustrations with like fixing my car. And she's like, why don't you call your dad?
I have no idea what you're
You,
talking about.
like she'll listen and smile, but and it's yeah, I think just that having somebody with that shared experience with whatever it is, right, is
Yeah.
important. Um
I mean, that's how you find people with hobbies that way. You find people
Mhm.
with faith that way. Like there's just to also you find that within the chronic illness community, I feel like is essential to helping a marriage thrive, which like right now, I mean, like being candid, there's like a weight in my marriage. We just got rid of all of our chickens because my husband just needed one less thing. He just feels overwhelmed. And so I'm like, well, we don't need the chickens. Like the eggs are great, but like we can also buy eggs. I know that's like a small thing, but it was an essential thing for him to feel like there was just like less weight with everything that we've got going on. And so the fact that you guys have, or that you, Alanna, have like, you've built your own village, girl. Look
I
at
did.
you. You're just so ambitious. You're like, I couldn't find it. I'm going to make the village. I am chiefess
I don't
woman.
know about that. It was pure insanity. I think it really stemmed from all of us feeling this sense of isolation. And I think all of us that started this really wanted a place where other people just got it. And
Yeah.
what's interesting is like sitting in space with a lot of these gals, even in their own relationships, like it's good for us to sit back and say, we've really struggled with this too in our relationship. Because with endometriosis specifically, and especially after you've had a hysterectomy and then you go through, menopause, in my case, surgical menopause, and the hormone replacement therapy aspect of it, like that's a whole nother can of worms. And so to experience that with other people and say, I've really struggled with this as well. And here's what has helped me. It translates into our marriage in a lot of ways. He doesn't have to be my sole advocate at that point. I think he still is in a lot of ways, but now I can go to my own doctor's appointments and not feel like I need his voice to see a lot of things because to be fair, I have the education with what I do now that I can advocate in a better way. But I'll tell you, there's still that medical trauma where I really struggle in doctor's offices. I freeze. And part of that is that neurodivergent brain of mine that is in that fear mode, that fight, flight, freeze mode. And so I'm working on ways to get my nervous system a little bit more regulated going into providers' offices. Whereas he was my regulation for a very long time walking into this. And especially because it was such a new diagnosis that not many people knew a lot about. And I've always been vocal about my endometriosis diagnosis, but I just didn't have the proper education or knowledge surrounding it. So it felt really, really, really overwhelming to me. And to be fair, I didn't feel good. I felt
Right.
awful. And it was like after our second child, where I never ever, like, it was like 1 or 2 days a month where I wasn't bleeding and I wasn't feeling awful. That was probably, I want to say that's arguably probably one of the lowest parts of our marriage for me because I felt like I couldn't be fully present in the marriage. I felt like I couldn't be a fully present mom. I felt like I couldn't be, I wasn't a present human. I didn't feel like I had anything to give to my family here. I have this
Yeah.
beautiful family that I fought so hard for that I wanted so badly. And yet I am a fraction of a human because I was iron deficient. I was in pain. I mean, that was probably the height of my pain. And my adenomyosis was just, it was so intense. And the medications I was on it was causing a lot of depression. And we had, at that point, we had a 1 year old. Like through this process, I had a newborn into a 1 year old.
Whoa.
And I had a
Yeah.
toddler who was 4 years old. So I'm in the depths of all these hormonal changes because of having a baby. I don't identify my body anymore. Like I remember, and Elliot, you can tell me if we should cut it or not, but I was in this depth of like, do you not even want me anymore? Because I'm so disgusted. I felt so disgusted with myself because I didn't feel adequate because of all of these things in my body and
Yeah.
not recognizing it. And I remember it was not long after, it was probably like 8 months after our second daughter was born. And I was like, you hate me. You don't even find me attractive anymore. Like I just went down this rabbit hole of like, I came to terms with the fact that, like, what am I even doing here? Like, you could
Yeah.
find someone so much better. I remember just even saying that to him. There's so many other better people out here that don't have to deal with this. Like, I can't even go on a vacation and enjoy it without, being sick. I can't even, and there was that self-pity mode. And I didn't stay there all the time, but that was probably one of the lowest parts in my illness
Yeah.
because I felt very hopeless. And I remember the doctor saying, well, we could try this or we could try that. And he went with me to that appointment. And the doctor's like, we could try this uterine ablation, but it could make the endo more angry. And he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what are we doing? We want to solve this. So
Yeah.
it was this sense of just complete hopelessness mixed with like I have everything I wanted, but I still feel like less than because my
Yeah.
body just hurts. I feel bleh.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of those moments in our marriage where I was like, if you want someone else, you can have them because I like they can serve you so much better. And so I think there was that grief stage too. And now that we're in a much better place because I have had excision, I've had my hysterectomy, but we've still had challenges past that. But the height of my illness is not there anymore
Sure.
to contend with, but part of that was the lack of knowledge, the lack of the unknown. What is my future going to look like? That hopelessness. And so walking through that and now kind of on that other side, even though I'm dealing with a lot, I'm able to manage it because I have the knowledge and I have the
Yeah.
support team and I have the providers in place for the most part, So I think like it takes that load off of him as well to be able to have those pieces fulfilled in my journey that he doesn't have to fill for me.
This took years and years of establishing that too,
Yeah.
like, and in the depths of it, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. When that rabbit hole happens for me, I talk about with your next wife, you can blah, 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 blah. And it's not, it's not healthy for probably either of us for me to speak that way. But the guilt, the sense of, I'm just a big ick. I ick me out. How are you not grossed
Right.
out by what I am and what I'm dealing with? I guess I'd be curious to hear Elliot's perspective on that, though. When she was there or even now, like, what are your thoughts on, like, I don't know, what she shared? I don't want to, like, give you an answer. I don't want to phrase it in a way where you give me a specific answer. I just want to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts.
I mean, through that time specifically, we had little kids, and it was a challenging. That's a challenging time, no matter what.
Yeah.
I remember going through like Alana making like comments about how much time I was spending with girls, and in her frustration, feeling like I was spending more time and paying more attention to the girls, and I felt like I was like stuck in this place of, well, I need to spend more time with them because she wasn't able to, and it was like that weird place. There were so many times where I was just so tired, I didn't pick up on the fact that there were many times I didn't pick up on the fact that she was thinking I didn't find her attractive anymore, and I was just plain exhausted, right? Like I just wanted to go to bed.
You're like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
It's not you. Yeah.
So I think there was, like, looking back in hindsight, like I can see where I definitely didn't communicate very well. I think there were even times where that was probably like the low point of my frustration with caregiving and your frustration with your disease. I think they probably kind of intersected, right?
Mhm.
I was trying to make sure I was doing what I could to take care of the girls, and um, man, and then that was uh, uh, like that year before you got your excision also coincided with COVID. I think there were times that I definitely had moments where instead of being compassionate and understanding about Alana's feelings, I got frustrated with them. Like I think I even like I'm sure you remember, like you'd be like, "Oh, don't you just find me attractive anymore?" And I'm like, "Why are you even saying that?" I would just get mad at her instead of figuring out a way to communicate better. I think I definitely had those moments of like, I don't know. I think there were times that I was, frustrated. I'm like, don't you see? I'm just tired. I'm trying to like do everything here.
Which made me feel more guilty because
Yeah.
I'm like, I felt worthless. I felt like I
Yeah.
added nothing to anything, like it
Yeah.
was kind of it was a vicious cycle for sure.
I feel like I've gotten better about picking up on cues. um,
I've gotten
maybe.
better at like not drawing them out or being more passive aggressive with them too. So you have to learn how to communicate
Yeah.
a lot more directly.
Well,
Yeah.
we've talked about this a lot too before, and not just in a caretaker position, like as the husband slash caretaker slash lover, like it puts you in a weird position where I see all her pain. I know where her pain is. And like there were definitely moments where I would feel guilty and not pursue her romantically because I was like, I'll let her come to me when she feels good. Right. And so I think there were a lot of times where that was received as I didn't desire her anymore. We got through that and have kind of come back up from that. And part of that is life stage too. Like not having an infant gets you a lot more sleep. So there's just a lot, but life is super busy. It never doesn't get less busy as kids get older. But I think we found an okay balance. And I do think a lot of that is, one, we're older and wiser and have walked through a lot of stuff and learned a lot of stuff. But I do think it is finding, because even for me, finding her community of endo people, and just the realization, even for me, that we're not alone. Like I felt like for a long time, I mean, Alanna, you already said it, like your first OBGYN that first diagnosed you really made it sound like a rare thing. And we felt like it was just the two of us on this island. So I think even it's not just for Alanna, I feel like the community also for me, even like talking to other husbands in the group and stuff, is we don't actually, when we've been in a group, like we don't talk about endo. It's nice to be just like normal, right? Just talk about
Yeah.
jobs and barbecue and stuff, right? But just knowing that it's like being in that community, you can talk about normal stuff, knowing that they've had a similar experience, which I think that's how men probably are in general, right? Even our own issues, we don't talk as directly about stuff. We would rather just know that the other dude knows what we've been through and we can just talk about normal stuff. Just knowing the other dude knows is enough. Like we don't need to talk about it. If that makes sense. So I think just having that community and knowing that we're not on an island has been really helpful.
I also think the education piece of it too,
Yeah.
like the more we know about it, the more understanding he's gotten about it. We know how to address things differently now. We know, like I, didn't recognize my ADHD tendencies until a couple of years ago. It wasn't honestly until we started looking at it for our daughter, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I am like classic symptoms of all of it. And then now that the research is coming out that neurodivergence and endometriosis and amongst EDS and
Yes.
all of these other
Yeah.
things, there's a huge like connection there. It all makes a lot more sense. And I think that knowledge begets compassion, because I think when you don't know what you're up against, you don't know why certain things are happening, or you don't know how to explain it, or like even what it actually might look like, feel like, be. I think sometimes the frustration lies in the unknown. And so now that we have a better understanding a lot of this stuff, and he has been right there with me, like none of what I do would be possible without him. 100%. Because not only does he take the weight when I'm doing the things that I need to do with the girls, but he's also sitting there encouraging me. He's listening to everything that I'm talking about, and he's learning about a lot of this stuff. And so I think it's really, in a lot of ways, allowed him to see things differently than he did then. Because again, it's the known versus the unknown.
Yeah.
It's the understanding versus the hopelessness. And
Yeah.
so I think that has definitely helped in that process too.
I love that though, because it's both just like a community and education come
Mhm.
together and help alleviate the pressure, the confusion, the frustration. It helps give you self-worth, identity, because through this whole conversation, which I have loved learning about your life and your journey through this in your marriage, I've listened to you identify so many different phases of identity, good and bad, and I don't want to say bad. I don't want to, good and
Well, there's some bad in there.
That's okay to
reality.
say.
I don't know.
There's
Uh,
some bad in
I
there.
don't know. I'm not great with all my words. I only have like a vocabulary this big. So that is what it is. But like, there's just been so many shifts. I think though, what's been incredible though, is that like, there is another side to the bridge each time. Like the bridge may be really difficult, really steep, looks different than other times you guys have gone through the hard. You guys keep choosing to walk over that bridge. How do we communicate? How do we educate? And now at this point, how do we build community and expand this and include others? And I love what you said too, Elliot, that you also don't always have to like be talking about it, just to sit amongst people that just, you know, they know, and you're not alone in that journey, I think is a big way for you to like find your center again in this identity shape-shifting that happens over the years. I am curious, is like a kind of a final thought. If you could speak to the earlier versions of yourselves, what would you say to them? Like if you could go back to year one in your marriage, what would you say?
If I could go back, I think for me, I would go back and I would say, it's not all in your head. You're not crazy, but also that you're brave and you're tenacious, because I think that there are moments that I have walked through this that I have felt less than, and I haven't felt like I'm worth the fight. And I think going back, I would say that I am worth fighting for, and that I'm not less than. Like there's purpose in my pain. There's purpose in this journey. And it's not going to look like a pretty picture all the time. It's going to be abstract art, you know, but there's going to be beauty in that abstract art, and someone's going to find value. And my husband has found value in that. And I can find value and beauty in that abstract art. And it doesn't have to fit a mold. And so like, I think I would go back and really impress that on my younger self. But then again, I don't know if it would have changed the outcome, because I've learned so much. So I think just as a gentle reminder sometimes to be kind to myself.
Yeah, just the little voice. I'm going to give you this little voice that throughout the years. Yeah, I like that. What about you, Elliot? What would you say?
I think I would say, and I'm still not good about this, but I've gotten better, is to be like, it's okay to be honest about my desires. Like, I think that that's still something that I'm not good at. I think for a long time, a lot of like in that, talking about that low spot where it's like Alanna's frustration with her body and my frustration with being a caretaker kind of intersected. I think that was kind of a low point in where like I started to develop a little bit of resentment, right? Like I was missing out.
Yeah.
And part of that was because I wasn't voicing what I wanted, right? I talked about it from like being a lover perspective, but also just like the simple stuff. Like, hey, I want to go out to buy myself a burger today for lunch. You know, I wouldn't do that. I would pack my lunch every single day because I was like, we need to save money for Alanna's medical stuff. And if I go out to lunch, then I'm going to feel guilty. And I think that there was a lot of stuff that was like that I would harbor it, you know, I'd keep it inside, and Alanna never knew that I wanted to go out to lunch, and I missed on going out to lunch, but then I would be mad about it, right? So I think that Alanna knows I'm still not great at it. She tells me that, but I am better.
She's giving you a look.
I am better than I used to be.
Not the best communicator all the time. He's working on it.
There definitely is, like, as the healthy person in the relationship, I would say it's kind of a weird term, but the survivor's guilt, I feel like is a really big thing, right? I feel like I can't complain about stuff. I feel like I can't I shouldn't go to the doctor because I can't have anything wrong with me. I can't get sick. And I think because of that, even simple stuff you don't want to talk about or say that you want, because the other person isn't going to get it, or the other person isn't going to have that opportunity. I used to just not ever say it, and now I'm like, I'm going to go skiing on Saturday. You know, I just kind of, I think I've gotten better about that. But there was a lot of years where I was like, I can't go skiing. But if I would have told Alanna, hey, can I go? I would like to go skiing on Saturday. She would have been like, yeah, absolutely. No problem. But I just,
please just go.
I wouldn't even say that I wanted to go because I felt bad about even having the desire to do it.
She would miss out. I like that though. Like you would say, it's okay to have desires. It's okay to have what you need as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to that, like, it would also make me feel less of a burden with him doing that stuff.
I
remember I have told him this so many times. Please go hang out with your friends. Please, like, do something for you, because
Don't let me hold you back. Yeah.
He's constantly serving us, and I'm like, but you need to focus on you. And we had a big blowout about this one time.
And I think
sorry, I'm just laughing. I'm not going to say anymore. Sorry, Elliot, go ahead.
I think that it's a hard thing for a caretaker And maybe it's maybe a personality thing too. Like to understand that not voicing my desires, not only does it affect me and make me resentful when Alanna doesn't even know, like it's unfair to her, right? To feel
Yeah.
resentful about something I've never communicated to her. But then on the flip side, by holding that in and not being honest and not doing what I want to do, it's actually making her guilt even worse. So I think that's been a big learning thing through our marriage.
It all boils down to that communication. This is where my husband and I are like a little different. He would love to communicate everything, and I'm like, this is taking forever. Just tell me what you need in 5 minutes. I don't want to talk for 3 hours about this, please. I want to like gab. I'll gab for 3 hours, but like getting where we're like emotionally like tearing through things, it's hard for me to get there. But I mean, it really does make such a difference in order for the marriage to remain healthy. So that way each person feels fulfilled in multiple spheres, in multiple ways. That is like all of the human experience. And I think when love is like really centered in your relationship, I think both partners are wanting to give as much as they're able to give to the other person's needs and desires. So it's just hard to navigate that. It's like, why won't they read your mind? That's rude. So
Well, and it's like we both want to show up for one another. And I think that
yeah,
if a caregiver doesn't allow us to show up for them, it feels like they're taking the weight of the relationship. And we want to give into that relationship what we can. A lot of things we've been unable to do. So where we can, we want to, right? Like we want to feed into those wants, desires, needs, all of those things, because there's a lot of things we can't control in our own journey of illness, right? There's a
yeah,
lot of things that we have a hard time putting words to, or that we can't fix, but we want to show up as a partner to our partner too. Like that
100%.
weight should not be fully on them. And I think that's been a learning curve for Elliot and for me, but for him, especially because he is such a servant heart. But with that can come that resentment. And there have been times where I'm like, I want to be there to serve you too,
Yeah.
in whatever capacity I can, because that means that I'm giving something to this marriage, to this relationship.
Would you agree too? Because like I know like even when I'm in some of my worst phases, my bad flares, please still come to me. Like, do you feel
Yeah.
that? Because like I'm like, I want to still be your partner. I still want to be like your best friend. It's not adding to me for you to share, because that's where my husband will get there, and he's like, I'm adding weight. I'm like, actually, believe it or not, this takes some weight off because I'm not the only one with like a problem.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
100%.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would rather him come and tell me, because then it's not leaving me guessing, and it's
Yeah.
not making me feel as defecto, like I'm the only problem child here,
Please have problems before I
Please
make more
let me know
problems in
you're
your
human.
life.
Yeah, I just want you to be human, okay?
Please be human. Yeah.
I
I
don't
love
wanna
it.
always have you be the superhero. Let me play a role in that too, like
Honestly,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead,
I was
Elliot.
gonna say I feel like you found a little too much joy when I had a colonoscopy, and
Oh, it was so fun.
the like post procedure, you were laughing so much because you had always been in that position, and then I was loopy because of the anesthesia, or it's not what is that, sedative, not anesthesia. See,
Sure.
that's the journey we've been through. Like I know the difference between sedative and anesthesia now.
Look at you.
Right. So much to offer here.
All the education. Look at this. This.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. This conversation has just been so great because in talking with you guys, and I hope that anybody else that listens to this podcast can just feel that like, although like maybe diagnoses are different, the journey has many crossovers when you are in a mixed ability relationship and just trying to navigate the medical world and its complexities that it brings into a relationship, but also the success and depth and value and incredible lives that you have built through choosing to continue finding and fighting for your marriage and communicating as much as you have. It's just been an honor to speak with both of you and hear your stories. So thank you so much for joining me today with this. Really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
inviting us. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to all that are listening. And stay tuned for the next episode as I interview more people just like Alanna and Elliot. Have a good one.